Hey, good morning and welcome to the fourth hour. It's great to have you along. Melissa, I appreciate the question. Melissa is already asking me a question. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. I want to share a little bit, actually, several stories with video that are worth sharing with you this morning. Let's start with Greg Jarrett over at Fox News, because this is, I think, a very intriguing story about what's going on. And he's speaking here about Judge Juan Merchan in treating Donald Trump now as keep in mind, Donald Trump has not been sentenced by a judge. And yet you've got Juan Merchan responding with this proposal as if Donald Trump is a convicted criminal. And Greg Jarrett at Fox News is taking some issue with this. Take a listen.
Oh, absolutely. I think Merchan is desperate to stain the incoming president with the label convicted felon. And understand, Brian, under the law, Trump is not officially convicted of anything until he's formally sentenced, even though many in the media, of course, began immediately and incorrectly calling him a convicted felon when the jury verdict came in. And that was the whole goal of indicting Trump and putting him on trial. Democrats assumed their politically driven lawfare campaign would destroy him. Instead, it had the opposite effect. Voters saw it for what it was.
Now, that is a really, really interesting thought that Greg Jarrett is sharing there. And I wanted to share a portion of that Donald Trump has not been convicted yet. I hadn't stopped to think about that. Of course, he's absolutely right. Until he's actually sentenced by the judge, he's not a convicted felon. So this whole deal, what Merchan is trying to do is to put through this plan that, okay, no jail time, so on, but Donald Trump will be a convicted felon. And this is part of the reason that Trump's lawyers are fighting this so fiercely. It's been pretty incredible to watch that. Also, there will be some changes that will be coming to Facebook for those of you who use Facebook. Facebook has received a lot of criticism. This is a really interesting video, and I'm going to share about a minute of this. Mark Zuckerberg talking about some of the changes that they're going to be making at Facebook. And moving more to a community notes standard like we have seen on Twitter. I'm going to enlarge this video here in a moment. Let's get it underway. But Zuckerberg talking about the changes that users will be seeing soon.
And focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
Well, I'm all in favor of that.
Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media
wrote nonstop
about how misinformation was a threat to democracy.
Yep.
We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse.
No kidding.
What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
Well, so no kidding about that. It has gone. I'm going to close that. It has gone too far, and it's interesting to hear Zuckerberg saying that those are the steps that they are planning to take on Facebook. It will be very, very interesting to watch that and see how that, because I know a number of folks who have been impacted, had their accounts shut down or silenced by Facebook. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Is Facebook going to become, they must be watching what's going on X with the expression of ideas, and how Elon Musk really has transformed what was happening on that platform. It's much different from Twitter. There's no question about it. And that was due to the guidance of Elon Musk over on X. Now to see, I mean, do you think this is Zuckerberg serious? Is Facebook looking? I mean, Facebook, I think, is always interested in enlarging their audience and getting more folks who are on the platform, so on. Are they serious about allowing more freedom of expression on Facebook? I mean, that's if that winds up being true, that's pretty significant, I should think. And you wonder if Elon Musk deserves a lot of the credit for that. So that was pretty fascinating. I wanted to share those stories with you here this morning. Also, I yesterday I unveiled You Ask, I'll Answer. And Jason asked a question on YouTube of me. And Jason, I love this question, by the way. And I said whether it's about work, whether it's a personal question, whatever, I welcome it all. If you have questions about how Kello operates, the radio station, I would be very, very happy to answer those questions for you. So anything is, within reason is fair game. Jason asked, what are your top 3 favorite bands? Top 3 favorite bands. And I thought, only 3? I have trouble whittling it down to just 3 favorite bands. But here's the list. Electric Light Orchestra has got to be one of them. I love Jeff Lynne and the music of ELO. I just think I just love their music. Terrific stuff. I find it really engaging. It's music also that I grew up with. And so primarily, you're talking about the music that they had in the 70s, but Jeff Lynne, who I think has gone on to be pretty instrumental in a number of things. I mean, his work with the Traveling Wilburys, I think, is also pretty great stuff. But ELO, just absolutely outstanding. Talking Heads is another one. I love the music of David Byrne and the Talking Heads. I listened to that. I listened to that before probably mainstream knew who they were. I was listening to their early music. And so by the time like Burning Down the House came along, and those in the was it mid 80s, later 80s, that came along, I was already pretty well aware of the Talking Heads, and I just really, really loved their music. Okay, who comes in third? I waffled here a little bit. How do I choose only 3? Boston has been a favorite of mine. Boston, I just love the guitars in Boston. Absolute favorite of mine. But I think even more than that, it's got to be the music of Tom Petty. Tom Petty is just incredible. And I have listened to a good number of his songs. I mean, in albums, I've CDs. I guess I just date myself every time I mention albums. But Tom Petty, beginning with his work with Don't Do Me Like That and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and then going on his solo work, and then also going on with the Traveling Wilburys is a group that I really, really enjoy. I don't know that I would put them in my top, but those are my top 3: ELO, Talking Heads, and Tom Petty. And so if you've got questions, I would appreciate that. I won't shoot him. Edgy's asking a question here as well. And I will answer that. I'll answer that for you tomorrow. I want to go back because Melissa asked a question this morning, and she said, "You asked for it, Greg. Donald J. Trump is about to speak at 10. If I were to wave my magic wand and make you his only audience, what question would be foremost in your heart? That's very interesting. I had to think on that for a few minutes. Melissa, it's a great question. What question would I ask of Donald Trump? I wonder how he gets through all this. Um, how does he do it? How does he do it? How does he maintain his stamina, his energy, his drive? Where does all that come from? Because I have remarked on the air a number of times that I think Donald Trump has just been, I would have been down and beaten. No question about it. I mean, all of the things that Donald Trump has endured, what that would have done to so many of us, I think is, I think I've said on the air, I'd be home hiding under my bed, sucking my thumb. If I had to endure all the things that Donald Trump has seen, how does he do it? How does he maintain that energy, his enthusiasm? Obviously, he loves the country. I think that has been very, very clear. He loves the country. He loves freedom. He's made that abundantly clear to many of us. But what drives him? What are the things that just keep him going day after day? I think that would be my question of Donald Trump, because as far as his policies, his plans, you and I pretty much know. We pretty much know those things because Trump is telling us. He's out there pretty consistently, on X. If you watch his X account, you get a pretty good look into what Donald Trump's plans are, what his thoughts are, those kinds of things. I'm just curious what keeps him running. Then those are some of the things that he actually doesn't talk about much. And I think Joe Rogan tried to get into some of that with him when Donald Trump did the Joe Rogan Experience just prior to the election, which was a real game changer. I think Rogan was trying to get into some of those things. And Donald Trump just, he starts bobbing and weaving. He calls it the weave, Donald Trump, where he just starts meandering. I think that's the word I would use, meandering around, and then he really doesn't come to the question at all. Yeah, I think Donald Trump does not enjoy talking about some of those things, personal things. And what drives him? I think that would be the question that I would ask of Donald Trump. We'll leave it there for today. Please hit the like button. I would appreciate it. I'd also appreciate your comments below on what Mark Zuckerberg is talking about, these proposed changes now at Facebook. Do you think we will see any difference on Facebook in terms of how they handle different viewpoints, so on? Because Facebook has been pretty tough on some users. I've known folks who have had their accounts who have been shut down. So will we see any change along those lines? I think time will tell. So I welcome your thoughts on any of those things, my friends. As always, appreciate you being along. Hit that like button before you leave, and we'll leave it there for today. I'll see you again tomorrow. You take care until then, all right? So long.